Hey everybody, welcome back. George Benton here. I'm going to take you through the next part of the checkpoints or the lay of the land when it comes to selling small business plans. And that is going to be on we're still on the first 4 seconds, but today we're going to deal with basically our body language and what we exude. So just to refresh you, last time we talked about how the first 4 seconds are the most critical thing to get down the whole process of selling or getting in the door, and how it's comprised of several different elements. Last week we actually talked about the first element, which was how you dress, and I talked about colors to wear, different days based upon your skin type and different times of year. Talked about what brands, what styles, or what patterns. Hopefully I covered that in pretty good detail. But I do want to pick up just a couple more things before we transition into the next part, which is, like I said, body language and what we're exuding. So this is mainly for the men. Women, once I get an update on this from more women, I'll go ahead and update this part of what the training is. But for men, just want to give you some key things to start off with as far as some key pieces. You don't have to wear a 3-piece suit. I would first of all start off with your shoes. I would tie the shoes in with, when I mention shoes, by the way, I want to pair that with belt. Shoes are synonymous with your belt, so always make sure these match. Secondly, I would say if there's any kind of item you're going to get, I would say get a good watch. It doesn't have to be an expensive watch, just something that's timeless, looks classy. It's usually what catches somebody's eye, but not in an overbearing way. But usually it's the second thing people look at. The third thing people are going to usually look at when they see you is going to actually be this quality of your skin, your eyes, your teeth, just how bright you are. So I would just say use a good facial moisturizer, maybe some good lip balm. Just make sure you look kept. A nice haircut goes a long way. And then I would recommend one piece of flair about yourself. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, for example, I would recommend perhaps a bow tie or a pocket square. Something maybe even a pen, just something that just has you pop just a little bit, but nothing crazy. Just has you just separate yourself a little bit more from the masses. Once again, nothing crazy here, but just something to kind of stand out a bit. If you kind of bring all those elements together, the rest of everything you're gonna will come together really well. One of the push I would recommend is if you can possibly get your clothes tailored to fit you. Now, I don't mean you buy custom clothing. You can go to Goodwill, eBay, any affordable place and find a good seamstress in your area and have them tailor them to you. That will make you look like a model and will do so much for those initial first 4 seconds. Then you'll probably the seller becomes much easier when you what they call wrap your package the right way. And I don't think I need to say this again, but just in case, I do want to let the people know that most of this material that I'm getting for this part is based upon a book I read, highly recommend it, called Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort. Not all the details I'm going through are in that book, but the overall concept of wrapping your package is, and just also my own life experiences with doing the last 7 years of selling our small business services out there in the field. So, okay. With that being said, let's get into the next round of what we're going to talk about, which is going to be, once again, the first 4 seconds, which is going to be our body language. So, I'm sure by this point, everyone here has by now had Halloween. Hopefully, you were your favorite character at one time or another during Halloween. If you don't celebrate Halloween, perhaps you had a costume party, or maybe you were in a school play, something where you had to dress up. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that usually when you dress a certain way, you feel a certain way and exudes a certain personality comes out about you. I know when I was, this might sound so funny, but one year I was RuPaul for Halloween, and found a great dress, some high heel shoes, but it really didn't. I felt cool in my costume, but what really sold the deal was when I went to the Nordstrom's makeup counter, and the girls from MAC, who does RuPaul's makeup, did my face, and once they did, I popped out. Like, I felt like I really did exude him. And for the next, I think I won a costume contest that weekend in New Orleans, being RuPaul. But it was like, once I was able to put on all the different accoutrements, if you want to say, that made up who he was, I was able to exude a certain personality. And the same thing goes when you dress a certain way. Usually your personality will come out in a certain way that will just really dictate how your interactions will go. So what we want to do is that we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up so we can exude the right personality. Though there's going to be kind of a nice kind of a mixture of personalities you're going to want to have to exude. But I want to say that there's several characteristics. It's going to be sometimes it'll be a blend of all these. Sometimes it'll be one that's leading. But I want to say the ones that usually work are something that's going to help you exude a confident demeanor, a pleasant and helpful demeanor, a genuine and authentic demeanor, and like you know what you're doing demeanor. So if you dress well, you usually will come across in a way that's just kind of brings all those together, where in the prospect's mind, they did in that first 4 seconds when they're looking you over and evaluating you, you've kind of passed their mental checkpoint, at least the first part, of someone that they want to talk to. Now, the second part really is going to be a silent judgment that's based upon how you carry yourself. So it's going to be things like your shoulders will be back. You'll feel relaxed but confident. You'll smile and lock a gaze and look that person entirely in the eye the entire time. I say, I never recommend taking my eyes off the prospects, their eyes, no more than probably about 22% of the time. The more you keep your eye contact, the more I keep eye contact, the more it lends into trust and confidence in who you are. And if you're confident, it means that what you have, you're confident in and can help the prospect. When you're unsure about yourself, and I'm sure some of you will start to realize this as you review some of your past interactions, when you've come in and let's say you didn't feel the best way about yourself or didn't come across in those 4 components of confident, grounded in who you are, helpful, authentic, whatever it may be, you come across in a different way. You may come across uneasy, you stutter, you sound unsure of yourself. All these characteristics come together, and then they just will lead the prospect right off the bat to be saying, I'm not interested. And not that he wasn't interested in what you had to offer, because obviously he didn't see what we had to offer yet, but he wasn't interested in you. And because of that, therefore, our product or our service lost. So this part is essential to get down. So for this part of what we do, I honestly recommend getting in front of the mirror and recording yourself and just watching yourself as far as your body language. If you have some good friends who are willing to critique you on, okay, John, stand this way, not that way. Pronounce your words this way. Talk a bit slower. Keep eye contact. Use your hands this way and that way. This will really help refine you in those first 4 seconds. And it's almost as if you're playing, if this was like a role for a movie and you're playing an actor, you want to nail the part of I'm a confident, genuine, authentic, great salesperson, helpful person that you should know that's going to help you get what you need, sir. And when you're able to exude that, it's not necessarily that you're going to get the sale. They still may not have a need for it. They may not have money. They may be going out of business, but it definitely doesn't take away from the case you're, presenting of why they should do business with you. So body language, I can stress this some more, but I hope you get it. This is a crucial portion of just the actual sale. Okay, so we got one part, which is how we dress, which gives us how we be. And then the last portion is going to be what we say. So this is probably the golden nuggets that most of you want to hear, but I think you hopefully can see that talking about what we say without it being built upon the other 2 foundations really won't work. Because I can say the things I'm going to tell you, but if those other things are absent, they're not going to fly far. Conversely, if those other things are there and you mess up what you're saying, it'll still carry the day. For example, there's been plenty of times where my conviction on who I am, what I'm doing, and what we offer was so strong that even though maybe my wardrobe wasn't best or there were certain things about me that didn't, carry the day, just the confidence and the conviction I had did. So if I was teaching anything in this first 4 seconds, what I'm trying to teach you is how to have conviction, how to be powerful, how to move the prospect to want to talk to you, move forward with you versus not. So this portion is based upon the words we say and how we say it. There's a combination of what's called tonality, and tonality is comprised of actual how you exude certain things and the words you choose to use. So usually when a prospect is evaluating us, there's basically, if you can imagine it, almost like a goalie in the back of their head but rather than it being just like a typical game where there's one goalie, there's two. So let's imagine like a soccer goal, and maybe a bit more bigger because there's gonna be two goalies there. One goalie is listening to the words you're saying and evaluating whether those words will get past him into the goal. The other goalie is looking for the emotional tones or the vibe you're putting out, and that will get past him into the goal. So you have to have both. Now, I would tell you that the goalie that listens to the sounds and what you're saying, what you're exuding, he controls 90%. Let's say, I hope this analogy makes sense. If there was a possibility of, let's say I said there's two goalies. Let's just say the one goalie who you're selling on your confidence, what you're exuding, how you say stuff, he can veto the other goalie who is listening for your words. So, for example, I say stuff the right way, the other goalie will kind of be like, okay, let it go past, because this person that controls the emotional side of you will override the logical side of you. I'm going to make an adult reference here. Hopefully most of your adults are just watching this, so I think it will work. Be an adult here. I'm sure there's been times where you've dated somebody and you suggested something to her or him in a way that it wasn't so much the words you said, but it was how you said it that led to what took place next. I'm not going to say anything more about that, but I think you get the point. Think about the times where someone may have said something ridiculous to you or implied something, but how they said it, regardless of the words they said, had caused you to take action. Same thing here. You want to lean on being powerful emotionally to the prospect. That's going to really carry the day more so than anything. And I would say the one thing I ground myself in that I think has carried the day, and I think probably other top salespeople will say the same thing, is a conviction about our service. So the best way I recommend getting that, and believe me, this doesn't tie into how to come across, is one, really understanding your product. Take time to look at all the different key components of it. And what I would recommend doing is having 1 to 3 stories on each of the different areas of coverage that you're confident in sharing. You want to basically have 100% faith or confidence in what we offer. When you do that, it's going to give you a certain disposition that will allow you to kind of zero in and lock on with the prospect and be like, I'm going to make a difference for you. I'm certain of it. Regardless of how I dress or what you think, whether you like my race, my sex, whatever, I know I can help you. That right there transcends a lot of things and will make up for a lot of things as well. So if you don't have a great wardrobe or if you don't know exactly what to say, that confidence will kind of bypass that. And this goalie will say, hey, let them through to the goalie that's listening for your words. So I would say definitely know your material. One of probably the better than even knowing your material actually is knowing success, is having belief in the success of our membership. I created a website with the help of some people who are, I think, actually on this training, who are in our group, called mymemberstories.com. It's mymemberstories.com. It was compiled, it's composed of, right now I think it's over 200 some stories, but we have about another 1,500 to upload, but it's just a bunch of success stories of others who have used our membership. When you read that, I read those to just give me more confidence in who we are and what we do for people. So when I walk through the door, because I do get nervous every single time I walk through. When I walk through the door, I think about the one story where we helped a business owner, and I'm like, this guy, it can make a night and day difference, him knowing about our service versus if he knew about our service, he may stay open versus closed. Or if he may, be able to accomplish his dreams. I try to think of something that is just my mission to share this with him. Now, he may not want to hear me. He may not, sign up. but it's definitely my mission to let them know about it. And when I ever kind of falter, I go into just the difference that our service makes. So I say one, know your product, mainly so you can know how that is successful. If you need to fall back on something, have success stories of it. And I'd probably say one other thing that makes a huge difference is know what our competitors offer. I don't need you to go, you can if you want, it wouldn't hurt, to go find other small business services in the online legal world that do something that's similar to what we do. First of all, there is not a competitor that's worth its weight in gold, but do the research for yourself so you know that, so you can feel confident. Once you do the research yourself, you'll internalize that and it will come out of you when you're talking to somebody. But I would say the most times, the only competition we have is what people are familiar with, which are traditional lawyers and law firms. So if you want to, I would take a step and call, maybe look in your area. If you want to do the top 10 law firms in your state, call and say, hey, if I had this issue, how much would you be charging me? So you can get some real life experience of like what the value of our membership is compared to what you're offering. What's out there. As you do that, your confidence once again will increase in who we are and what we do. So when you're in that the heat of the moment and need to kind of come across that right way, you're drawing on all these different things that will make up the words and the way they come out of your mouth in that single moment that will have the prospect allow you to go to the next step, which is the discovery call or discovery conversation. So just want to make sure I've covered everything here that I need to cover. So, okay, yes, the words that come out of your mouth. Now, I had to take how should I say this? When it comes to the words that come out of your mouth, what I want you to do, it's not so much the words that you choose, and at the same time, it is the words that you choose. Regardless of what words you choose, what I need you to do is be confident in delivering them. Now, I think most of us here in this that's going to be watching this training knows one of our mentors, Melissa Wilder. There's nothing I can say bad about this woman, and I don't think anybody could. Me and Miss Melissa Wilder differ in one area, but I think she'll agree with the overall essence of what I'm saying. Melissa Wilder does not recommend being scripted. I recommend just being genuine and authentic. I fully agree with that. Definitely don't disagree there. Where I go a little bit off from her is that I don't recommend sounding scripted. I 100% recommend having a script or some kind of framework to work within so you can go ahead and move forward. Oftentimes, we don't know what we're going to say, and then we start to babble over our words and say the wrong things that has us not move forward and have the prospect move forward. And while I think if you can really hone in on being genuine and authentic, you'll say the right things the right way. However, most people aren't like that just yet. So I recommend, if you're not there yet, starting off with some training wheels, which is a script. A script is basically just a framework. Now, it can be word for word. It can be just overall generalities. I try to not nail mine word for word. Not so much that I'm going to say every single word accurately or perfectly each time I speak to someone, but the more tuned in I am to my script, that usually there's like about a 10% differential between what I practice and what I actually deliver, so that I can deal with that kind of wiggle room will still have me be effective. But I saw that if I didn't have any kind of general thing to say, it was very, I would say, hit or miss when I would say the right things versus when I would say the wrong things. And as I started to just hone this, I was more consistent with getting to the next checkpoint versus not. So I'm not going to tell you what exact script to put, but I'm going to tell you the components of what to include in yours. So what I would typically include, once again, after you come across with the right body language, locking eyes with the prospect, confident handshake if that's appropriate, is just a brief introduction and what's called an adjustifier. So what that means is you're going to have to let them know who you are and a good reason for why you're there, a justifier. So, I usually let them know, hey, my name is George. I'd say I recently relocated my business here. And basically it's my job. I'm now also the ambassador for Small Biz Legal Shield. It's basically my job to let all the other business owners know about this service and how it grows, how it can help grow and protect their business. Now, I say that a bit slower. Let me try that again just so you can kind of see. So usually I'll come in, I'll ask for the decision maker, and I'll say, hey, my name is George. Hope you can help me. Usually the person behind the counter will say, sure, what's going on? It's like, great. My name is George. I'm with Small Biz Legal Shield, and I recently relocated my business here. I was looking to speak to the owner, let him know about a service that's available for his business, but I didn't know who to ask for. Is that you or is that another person? It's usually another person. Owner will come by. I'm like, I'll say pretty much say the same thing. I'm like, hey, sir, hey, George Benton, nice to meet you. They'll say, what's going on? They'll listen. I'll say, listen, the reason I came by is that I recently relocated my business here. And several years ago, my wealthy mentor told me about this service that just made a night and day difference for my business. So much so I became an ambassador for the service because of how much it improved what I offer. It may or may not be for you, but I wanted to take about 2 to 4 minutes and have a discovery conversation with you about it to see if it can benefit you like it has the other businesses in the area. You got a minute? Something like that. Now, I can probably pick holes in that and improve that, but it's effective enough to where the person is willing to talk to get me. It's effective enough to go help you get to the next round, which is a discovery conversation, which is where I'd say most of your initial sales starts to happen. But none of that discovery conversation will happen without that first part. So let me do it again. I'll do a few examples here of this portion, and then I'll go back and dissect the different elements that were in it that I want to focus on. So I'm going to act like I'm talking to the decision maker themselves. Say, hey, sir, my name is George. Nice to meet you, man. Listen, I recently relocated here, and several years ago, my wealthy mentor told me about a service that just made a night and day difference for my business. So much so, I became the ambassador for the area. So basically, it's my job to make sure other business owners know about this service. If it's for you, I'd love to help you. If not, at least I made a new friend. When's a good time to have a 2 to 4 minute discovery conversation with you about it? Is now good? Something like that. So let me try one more time. And once again, I wish you could see what's going on in my head, but I'm pulling out the different major nuggets and components of all the things I've said over the last 7 years and kind of deducted it down to the most effective statements that have I seen made the prospect willing to talk with me further. So I still keep on refining it because I'm sure like you, in these moments, you have an idea of what you want to say, but it's almost like a gumball machine. You're not too sure which color gumball is going to come out. However, the more you kind of start to refine and practice, you reliably will have the right gumball that you want. Like, for example, if you want the red gumball, great. You'll start to get that one versus when you first walk in and not have any kind of idea, you might pull out, the wrong color. That's just thing that you're not looking for. Hopefully that analogy makes sense. Okay, so let's try this one more time. So I come in, hey, hi, my name is George. Hope you can help me. I was looking to speak to the business owner or the person that handles the decisions for the company. Is that person you or is that somebody else? Let's say they say somebody else, they'll get the owner. Okay, great. Hey, sir, hey, George Benton, nice to meet you. Hey, listen, I recently relocated my business here, and several years ago, my wealthy mentor told me about this service for my business that just made a night and day difference with it being successful. So much, I actually became the ambassador for the area to make sure other business owners knew about it. If it's for you, I'd love to help you with it. If not, at least I made a new good friend. When's a good time to have a 2 to 4 minute discovery call with you about it? Is now good? Something like that. Now, I think as I'm saying that, I think there's some other ways I can improve it, make it shorter, make it more succinct. But overall, it's effective. Usually when people hear me say that in conjunction with everything else that's been established, it's enough to get past the goalie and past both goalies and into what's called the second checkpoint or the next checkpoint, which is having a discovery call. So let's talk about some of the elements that make up your script. You want to have a justifier, a good reason for why you're talking to them. It could be you were referred to them. It could be I use the justifier of I'm a small business owner as well. I kind of put that in my script of like, I recently relocated my business here. So that, without me saying, hey, I'm a business owner too, it lets them know that I own a business. I'll come back to, there's a secret in why I say that. It could be I live in the neighborhood or I heard about your business. There just has to be some reason that's a good, okay, I can see why you came here, for you talking to me. Some kind of just bona fide reason that you want to share this with them. It needs to be succinct. If it's more than 30 seconds, it's not good. I would say 30 seconds is about adequate. And when I first started doing this, I was timing myself. I was in about sometimes my initial thing was 2 minutes long. Then I got down to about a minute, then 40 seconds. And right now I'm pretty reliable for doing 30 seconds. I'm sure if you rewound when I go through this, when I went through the script, it's about 30 seconds. That's almost just enough for the prospect is willing to grant you when you first talk. And sometimes I might even say, you got 30 seconds? And they'll say yes. A side note about that. If you say you have 30 seconds and actually stick to it, because in the prospect mind they're counting, you will almost definitely get to the next step. Reason being is that they don't really care about what you're saying when you say that, as far as what comes after the 30 seconds. They actually just want to know if you can actually nail it. If you do, they're like, wow, I'm impressed. And you actually sold them on your skill set and just the actual moment itself that will allow you to move forward. Now, if you say the right things within the 30 seconds as well with the body language, it's like a grand slam. All the elements came together. So, little side note there. Okay. Your script needs to have a takeaway. Melissa Walter shared this with us recently, and I love it. It's the one of, hey, if it's for you, I'd love to help. If not, I made a new friend, which is kind of like Dave Cebula's, hey, it may or may not be for you. If there's a kind of an offer, yet a takeaway, it gives the prospect of like, hey, most prospects actually do not want to waste your time as much as they don't want to waste theirs. So if you say that, it lets them know like, okay, this person, he's not attached to talking to me. It may be for me, it may not. I'm okay with giving him time because I won't let him down. He won't let me down. Cool. All right. There's no expectations here. Let's move forward. So that needs to be there. And I think I covered, I'm trying to see if there's any other element. Justifier, 30 seconds or less, a takeaway, and yes, some kind of credible reason of who you are. So I see that when I used to just come in and say, hey, I'm George, without being like, I have to slip in, I'm a business owner as well, and I say it in a very strategic way. It automatically lets the prospect know I'm on the same level as they are. With that being established, now, I think this might make sense to some of you. When the person you're speaking to realizes that you're one of them, there's a sort of ease or acceptance that's granted that you wouldn't otherwise get. Recently, one of my downline, she did a presentation for a bunch of people who work from the fire station. And what was said at the end, he goes, well, if Chris recommended you speak to us, we're pretty much in, because Chris is a brother, he's a firefighter. What's pretty much what I'm trying to say is that when there's a certain kind of like you're one of us, there's a certain listening that's granted to the person that is not granted otherwise. I hate to say it, while most business owners do enjoy buying, they don't like to be sold. And they don't I would say overall, like salespeople. But they do respect another business owner, someone who's just like them. So you'll see it, once you say something like that in a skillful way, you will see their disposition, their shoulders relax, not be on guard. And even just all the interactions after that point will be much more respectful because you're one of them. Cooks are like that with cooks. Moms are like that with moms. Races are like that with other races. It's just the law of, I'm not sure if it's a law of identification, but whatever that thing is that, hey, we're similar, it's almost like, okay, you're granted the ability to talk to me, and I'll listen to you because you're one of us. Definitely have that element in your 30-second thing. So once again, I say I recently relocated my business here. That right there goes, okay, you're a business owner. I'm granting you the ability to really talk to me candidly, and I'm gonna respond candidly versus how I would talk to you if you were just a salesperson. So that's the overall. That's pretty much the overall how your first 4 seconds. So let me review that again. So you want to basically make sure that you can that the decision maker will allow you to talk to them candidly and honestly and most effectively because of how you came across, which once again are made up of. One, how you dressed. or basically how you present yourself, that mentally unlocks the first part of their mind of being willing to let you have a discovery call with them. The second part, benefit for you in dressing a certain way, is to have you come off a certain way, which unlocks the second thing, is that, okay, this person exudes the right qualities that have you want to talk to them. The third part is going to be what you say, and which again, it's once you realize all those elements are together, as far as in your less than 30 seconds, a good justifier, you're on the same level as them. I just forgot the fourth one. Less than 30 seconds, you're on the same level of, a takeaway. And a takeaway, you pretty much have gotten all the components there to move to a discovery conversation. So what we're going to do, and this hopefully is, when we watch this, I don't mind practicing with you to help you refine what you're going to say. I say what I just told you guys pretty much all the time. When I walk in, it's been really effective for me. So when you start to put your script together, just keep those things in mind as you start to craft your script. I think that's a good framework rather than telling you every single word to say. I think just knowing what things make up what you say is a good place to start, and then I'll help you refine things for you as you go. Now, let's talk about I would call the elephant in the room about this. In fact, if I had to, I probably would pause the video right here and make another video regarding the next topic, or the thing that holds this whole thing together from the start, before you even go outside, to the last thing you say to get referrals. In fact, I'm trying to really decide if I should do that or not. I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to pause it. I'm going to stop this video and record a second one. That's an in-between point between the first 4 seconds and the discovery call. So that's this week's training. Hopefully it was helpful. If you have any questions, ask. If you have any comments, please share. Every speaker, by the way, every artist, every speaker, every person, when they're presenting, they always want to make sure that what they're offering is great. It's like going to a restaurant. The cook wants to make sure, he loves hearing feedback, even though he's been doing it for years and the restaurant's full. Always love hearing feedback. So whenever you hear a speaker there, Melissa Wilder, somebody on Zoom, always give them feedback. It makes a humongous difference with helping them, encourage them to go on, but also making sure that what they're saying is not falling on deaf ears, or like they're not off in Pluto talking about something that you are like, wait, you lost me. What you're saying is so not true. So yeah, I will definitely open to compliments and comments if this was helpful. I should be. All right. Look forward to talking with you on the next topic in just a moment. Take care. Bye-bye.